He was only a good vice president because he understood how to kiss Barack Obama's. She said the U.S. support for Israel is all about the Benjamins. She said that pro-Israel lawmakers have an allegiance to a foreign country. Omar wrote that Israel has hypnotized the world. May Allah awaken the people and help them to see the evil doings of Israel and the United States. How do you have such a person representing you in Minnesota? I'm very angry at you people right now. We were supposed to be in Syria for 30 days. We've now been there for 10 years. We were supposed to be in Afghanistan for a short period of time. We're now going to be there for close to 19 years. It's time to bring them home.
The White House has presented in this letter from the White House counsel a variety of assertions about what has to be done in terms of confronting accusers, in terms of cross-examining witnesses and such. And there's really no legal basis for any of those claims. They're not mandated by anything. In fact, it's important to keep in mind that an impeachment is not a criminal proceeding. Nobody goes to jail. Nobody pays a fine. The only thing that happens is the president loses his job. So the protections that the Constitution provides for criminal proceedings are just not directly relevant. There is an almost shocking passage in it which relies on a decision in a case involving Judge Elsie Hastings, and it claims that that case requires that the House provide various procedural activities at this investigative stage. Pointing to that decision is actually wrong. That case dealt with the Senate. The Senate has to conduct a trial. It's a very different kettle of fish from what the House does. But it's even worse than that because that case was vacated as a result of an intervening Supreme Court decision. So any lawyer will tell you that that case doesn't actually exist. So the notion that the White House is relying on a case that no longer exists as any kind of precedent is very disturbing. And honestly, if a first-year law student were to do that, that student would fail.
And I believe, and I want to say this with great solemnity, the President of the United States is in danger of losing the mandate of heaven if he permits this to happen.
I was going to do this 9 months ago, and we were not at 100%, but we were pretty close. Everyone said, can we get to 100%? Now I get to 100%, and they say, well, maybe we could stay longer. I say, well, when do we get out? There's got to be a time we get out. We have to bring our people back home. These are bad people. My phone call, as an example, with the president of Ukraine was perfect. Everybody that looked at it. And the only reason I released it was that the Democrats put out a phony narrative. So I had no choice. And I don't want to do that as president. Every time a president from a country calls me or I call them, we have to release the text. How can you do business that way? Who's going to want to speak to your president? So now the Democrats are making a pathetic bid to save Sleepy Joe Biden. He was only a good vice president because he understood how to kiss Barack Obama's ass. Congresswoman Omar is an America-hating socialist. She minimized the September 11th attack on our homeland, where far more than 3,000 people died, saying some people did something. Big deal. Some people did something. Representative Omar has a history of launching virulent anti-Semitic screeds, whether you like it or not. So in the case of Turkey and Syria and the Kurds, we could send in 1,000 troops for a military conflict with Turkey. No, you don't want to do that. We could hit Turkey very hard financially. Or we could mediate a deal between Turkey and the Kurds. I like that. You know, let's mediate a deal. We were supposed to be in Syria for 30 days. We've now been there for 10 years. We were supposed to be in Afghanistan for a short period of time. We're now going to be there for close to 19 years. It's time to bring them home. It's time to bring them home. We have no soldiers in the area. We've been talking to Turkey for 3 years. They've been wanting to do this for many years, as you know. They've been fighting each other for centuries. They've been fighting each other for hundreds of years. This has been going on. We were put into this battle, interjected. It was supposed to be a 30-day period, and we've been there for many, many years. And it's time to get out. We're speaking to both sides. We've told President Erdogan how we feel, but we are speaking to both sides, and we're seeing what can be made out of a situation. But we have no soldiers in the area. You know, we're getting out of the endless wars. We have to do it. And eventually somebody was going to have to make the decision. And frankly, we're getting a lot of praise from that decision. People are saying, gotta sometime bring our people back home. We're really serving, and we were serving as a police force. We had defeated ISIS. We defeated the caliphate 100%.
In a statement this morning, you cautioned Erdogan. Since then, it appears as though there have been casualties on the Kurdish side. Are you concerned about escalation, and are you concerned that Erdogan will try to wipe out the Kurds? I
will wipe out his economy if that happens. I've already done it once with Pastor Brunson. I'm sure that I hope that he will act rationally. But you do have to understand they've been fighting each other for many, many decades. Actually, for centuries, they've been fighting each other.
Mr. Graham is talking about imposing economic sanctions on Turkey over this incursion into Syria. What do you think about that?
Well, I think it's okay. I've already told that to President Erdogan. Far more than sanctions. I'll do far more than sanctions. Lindsey, and I'd feel differently. I think Lindsey would like to stay there for the next 200 years and maybe add a couple of 100,000 people every place. But I disagree with Lindsey on that. But I will tell you that I do agree on sanctions, but I actually think much tougher than sanctions if he doesn't do it in as humane a way as possible. But I've gotten him to stop for virtually from the first day that I was in office. But they've wanted to fight, and that's the way it is, and they've done it for so long. Yes, go ahead, please.
So what does this humane way as possible actually mean?
Well, we're going to have to see. We're going to have to define that as we go along. They want to, if you listen to Erdogan, he wants to have people go back to where they came from, go back to Syria. Right now, he's holding, in all fairness to him, he's holding millions of people. That would be all over the place if he wasn't holding them. So he wants to repatriate. He wants to have them go back into the area that he's looking at. But we'll see. We'll see how he does it. He can do it in a soft manner. He can do it in a very tough manner. And if he does it unfairly, he's going to pay a very big economic price.
Mr. President.
Today, we unseal an indictment charging Lev Parnas, Igor Fruman, and 2 co-defendants for their alleged participation in schemes to violate the federal campaign finance laws by repeatedly using straw donors and foreign money. Parnas and Fruman were arrested around 6 p.m. last night at Dulles Airport as they were about to board an international flight with one-way tickets. As alleged in the indictment, the defendants broke the law to gain political influence while avoiding disclosure of who was actually making the donations and where the money was coming from. They sought political influence not only to advance their own financial interests, but to advance the political interests of at least one foreign official, a Ukrainian government official who sought the dismissal of the U.S. ambassador to Ukraine. Protecting the integrity of our elections and protecting our elections from unlawful foreign influence are core functions of our campaign finance laws. And as this office has made clear, we will not hesitate to investigate and prosecute those who engage in criminal conduct that draws into question the integrity of our political process.
These allegations are not about some technicality, a civil violation, or an error on a form. This investigation is about corrupt behavior, deliberate law-breaking. The FBI takes the obligation to tackle corruption seriously. There are no exceptions to this rule. We gather evidence, we collect facts, and we will act on them when appropriate.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you like this video, check out these other videos from USA Today to stay up to date with all the latest news.